Also, by the way, in this book, The Expectation Effect, there is this study, and I hope I don't butcher it. I will partially butcher it, but it kind of falls in line with what you mentioned right there. They took a group of people to test their VO2 maxes, and they told them that they randomized it and told a certain group of in there that you have this gene that has a better propensity to have a higher VO2 max, randomized. The people that they told those to all had better results on the VO2 max test than the people that I think they mentioned that you don't have the gene, right? All those people didn't perform nearly as well. And the way they did their experiment was really well. I know I butchered it, but the thing is the people that expected that they would have they had the gene with a high VO2 max had better results on their VO2 max test because they thought they had some type of advantage. I've seen multiple times where Greg has said, and other influencers, this guy Vitruvian Physique, I think Vitruvian Physique, made a video of like, these are some good natural physiques to look up to. And Vitruvian Physique was one of them. But, you know, Greg has mentioned this guy, Jesse James West. And Jesse James West looks good, don't get me wrong. But if I can think back to my expectations when I was younger, I would look at Jesse James West and be like, that's cool, but that's not my goal. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to have these lofty goals of what they want to look like or whatever, but my goal was the guy who looked exceptional. And again, I'm not saying that needs to be everyone's goal, but I think that what happens with this shit is it lowers people's expectations on what they can do. They'll set more realistic goals. And if we know anything about being realistic, being realistic is something that everyone can do. I'd rather be more unrealistic.
Yeah, and set your sights on something big.
But give myself a long time to achieve that. You know what I mean? Not trying to do something in a year, do something in 10 years.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I had a dream that I wanted to like live in a castle someday. You know, I wanted to be rich. I don't know why. I just thought that way since the time I was a kid. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to have dreams. I knew for sure I'm going to be an NFL football player.
Tell that story about the guys in the car, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So so I was in a car with a bunch of my football friends. We're in this like shitty beat up car in high school, and we're just kind of like driving down the road, and we're talking about like what we're going to do after high school. It's our senior year, and I think I mentioned, I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was like, I struggle so much in school. I was like, I don't think it's not for me, but maybe I'll do like a junior college. Maybe I could like bide my time or find something I'm interested in at a JC or something, and then figure out like a job from there, you know, and figure out a way. But I said, I do know that I want to like make a lot of money. I don't know why, but I'm attracted to trying to figure out like how to really make a lot for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because my dad's an accountant. I don't know. And my friend at the time, who's my best friend, and we severed ties pretty much after that day, he was like, you're not going to be able to make any money. He's like, what are you going to do? Which might be realistic.
It's a valid question.
What am I going to do? Like, I don't have good grades. I don't seem to be on a path of like, I don't have a trade. I don't have a skill set. So he's not wrong necessarily. Unless I was lucky enough to be a professional athlete or something. Yeah, what the fuck am I going to do? So I was just like, well, fuck that. You know, I'm not letting him talk to me that way. So I was like, I don't know I don't know how I'm going to figure it out, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to make more money than everybody in this car combined. And I just knew that was going to be, I knew my future was going to be something along those lines because I was always attracted to that. It was something that became like a belief system for me. So even through football and even through pro wrestling and even through the ups and downs of all that, I'm like, well, it's still going to work out because I'm still interested in figuring out a way to make money, figuring out a way to monetize something. I didn't know that I was going to monetize the skill set that I had for so long because I didn't even recognize it was a skill set until I was older. And when I started competing and when I rose higher and higher through powerlifting, then I was like, oh, this is the skill set. This is the annoying ex-girlfriend that I was always trying to get rid of, which is powerlifting. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I was chasing after other stuff, but it always kept kind of kept coming back, kind of nagging me. And then eventually things sort of worked out the way that they did. But I think it's good to have big dreams. And Nsima wanted to be a soccer player.
Pro soccer player. That was the goal. Yeah.
I remember John Cena telling me like there's actually like a documentary on John Cena. And because, he was like 5 or 6 when he said it, and he's also from Boston. He's from Massachusetts. And so he would tell his dad, I want to be a walk star. I want to be a walk star. And he basically is a fucking rock star. He's different version of a rock star, but the motherfucker's a rock star.
Yeah.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now on this podcast, Mark, Andrew, and I, we talk about fasting a lot. We talk about the ketogenic diet and a lot of different types of diets, but Bubs Naturals has a product. They have the collagen protein, which is amazing. They have these apple cider vinegar gummies, which are like crack, but they have
They are.
They have these MCT oil powder packets that I've never used to do this, but in the morning I'll wake up and I'll put it in coffee, and the smoothness, number one, in terms of the mixing is amazing, but the consistency of my energy through the day because of the MCT oil powder is peak. Andrew, how's your experience with it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It's like the best way to start the day. You're satiated, you're energized, and you're just ready to crush the day. So if you guys want to get in on this MCT oil powder, head over to bubsnaturals.com and at checkout, enter promo code Power Project to save 20% off your entire order. Again, Bubs Naturals, promo code Power Project to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. I would definitely, like how you said, being unrealistic. Because like, what is realistic for somebody to make a living? Like work a job that they don't really love 40 hours a week? Or is it unrealistic to be on a podcast every day, like, and make a living that way? Obviously, one's very realistic and one's very unrealistic. So I'll lean into the unrealistic shit.
Andrew, you can't just sit there and take photos every day. What do you think? You're going to be some great photographer someday? What are you doing?
Yeah, your pictures aren't even that good. Like, be realistic with it,
You're
which
just
I've
taking
heard.
pictures of cars fucking spinning around, smoking their tires.
Yeah.
Who cares about that?
Yeah, no. And so, but going back to like what you were saying to open the show, Nsima, I wish I had more of your, I wish I had completely your whole mindset, because
It was my mom's mindset, bro.
So your mom's mindset, yeah.
Keep in mind, she beat his ass.
She beat my ass. But keep going.
I mean, I could have like, it would have been good for me to have your mom beat my ass, because like when it came to fitness and stuff, I didn't talk about it with my parents because it just wasn't a thing, but we were into sports.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a teenager, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, all that shit was happening. So in my mind, as a young, sponge, it was like, oh, to be the greatest, you got to be on the stuff. You know? So then I was just like, damn, was Ken Griffey on steroids too? He probably was. And then it's like, fuck, Barry Bonds. Like, well, he's never been, tested. He's never been caught. I'm like, And then so like you have that thought process. So then it's like, anybody with a good physique, it's just like, oh, you're on TV. Yeah, he's probably on stuff.
Yeah.
So like I had the opposite, right? I have what's kind of what we see today, and I wish I didn't have it, because I set up those, I'll call them now unrealistic expectations of not being able to obtain a good physique without PEDs.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I think that's more unrealistic than the opposite, which I know sounds fucking stupid because we're in that, but I just think it is so dumb to not have that mindset of like, oh wait, I can build a really good physique without stuff. Now it's like the opposite. Now it's like, I can't unless I do.
Yeah.
And again, and I understand, about like, okay, don't buy their supplement thinking you're going to look like these people or whatever. And like putting out information because you want to protect people and stuff. But yeah, I'll bring him up because that's who we're talking about. But when Mike O'Hearn was saying like, oh, I didn't think I can be as good as the guys around me, I thought I could be better than them. Mm-hmm. Like that's another unrealistic expectation. And I think that's so good. Like I'm going to tell my son that like he could be better than everybody we come across, and it's like, why would I tell him like, you got to be realistic? Like we probably like, look at me. Look at your grandfather. Like we don't look like them, so there's probably a good chance that you're not going to look like them either. Like,
but what if you don't do? Yeah, what if you don't do what they did?
Dude, that's what I mean.
Other shit.
I'm like, no, it's the opposite. I'm like, dude, you started doing shit from the womb. Started having good habits like from day one. Like, so now imagine, kind of like when I was telling Owen today, like Owen was, saying like, oh, I might have a path just like Andrew's. And I'm like, dude, you're already way ahead of where I started, because he's developing these really good habits. And by the time he's my age, he's going to be freaking jacked. But, for my son, it's like, it would be so dumb for me to be like, let's be realistic here. You're probably going to look, you know, a little bit less than this guy. It's like, no, like, dude, and like, that's what a terrible way to, you know, what a terrible thing to put in his head.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I know you guys enjoyed the video, so like, comment, subscribe, and head to the Power Project Discord below. Talk to y'all later.